started it as an education garden because two of our recreation centers had closed and there was nothing to do for the children out on the streets. We're located in between Holton Recreation Center and Glenwood Recreation Center. And both of those closed in 2009 due to financial problems. In 2009, the Highland Youth Garden began with the help of Oakley Full Gospel Baptist Church and also the Self-Development of People and the Ohio Children's Foundation. The Ohio Children's Foundation was our first grant, and the Self-Development of People from the Presbyterian Church was our second grant. And we actually had the Methodist Church working with us right next to the garden. We had Oakley Full Gospel Baptist Church property that we were doing the gardening on. And then many of our children came from a program from the Lutheran Church at Terrace and Broad. And then the funding came through the Presbyterian Church. So there was a lot of funding, a lot of partnerships that were developed that helped us to see the importance of community working together. And then as the school, as Highland Elementary School that is 124 years old this year, as they started working with us 10 years ago, those children came over class by class and started learning about the vegetables that we were planting, and they even had a chance to sample much of what they grew. We started out planting green beans, of course, since the children needed to see those, and we also planted corn, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, just a lot of the same vegetables that we thought the children would have on at their dinner plate. But what we found out is that a lot of the children did not have a lot of vegetables to eat. So there was a lot of times that we would educate them on what those vegetables were that we were planting. We also planted strawberries. We had a peach tree and an apple tree and a tomato or a cherry tree, and eventually we have also planted grapes for the grape arbor. So there's been fruits and vegetables, herbs, flowers grown in this garden over the 10 years. But at the very beginning, there was a lot of weeds in the garden, of course, and the children had a hard time telling the difference between a weed and a plant. But we had to teach, and we seen the importance of what we were doing, and so a lot of people were encouraged to volunteer and to help. As we developed more and more partnerships with the fire station, with the gentleman from the Children's Hospital, Nationwide Children's Hospital, as he came out and developed our bridge that was to celebrate our bicentennial here in the city of Columbus, so that children could see what plants were planted over the past 200 years. And then he went on to help us with a grape arbor and our hand washing station, and also our produce cleaning station. And he was just one person that had a very huge impact on the garden. There was also Mars Irrigation that came, and throughout the entire garden is drip line irrigation. And that is amazing because we do not have a lot of gardens in our city that have drip line irrigation. And he is also a board member, and we have been blessed to be able to have watering the plants so that the children no longer have to carry the water in one milk jug at a time or one watering can at a time. So there's been so much that the partnerships that people have helped us to form, and the networking that we've been able to do to bring people together to teach the children, it just has been a blessing. And to think that the garden was started with $1 and a prayer, and then went on to receive grants from various funders, not only the Ohio Children's Foundation and the Self-Development of People, but also United Way, Columbus Foundation, Scott's Miracle Grow, the City of Columbus, Battelle, there's been so many people that have contributed, and so many individual donors that have helped us along the way. And just in the past 2 years, to receive a huge grant from Mid-Ohio Food Bank so that we could have a high tunnel so that the children can learn about gardening 12 months out of the year. So we've come a long ways from children cleaning up rocks and bricks out of the garden to where now we are able to teach 12 months out of the year. And many of the weeks we are educating like 200 to 300 children a week. And this has been a real blessing from Highland Elementary, from the Boys and Girls Club, J. Ashburn Boys and Girls Club, and then also the Educational Academy of Boys and Girls that is located just within walking distance. And so the programs go on during the summer when school is out, and during the school year whenever classes can come over. So it's a labor of love. There's many people that come here because they believe in teaching this next generation of children where their food comes from.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays we have hundreds of kids in the garden. They come over, it's part of their school day, and they come with their class, and they do activities like planting, transplanting, seeding, watering, just get involved with the garden. This year we had our Green Team program. It was the first year for that, where we hired 9 teens from the neighborhood, and this summer they worked with us and they learned how to grow food. They took the produce to the farmer's market and sold it there every other Saturday. So they got to see the product from seed to finish, from seed to market. Every year we see about 500 kids in the garden. We were able to hire some of our teens. So the 9 teens that we had this summer, we were able to hire 6 of them to help us year-round. 4 of them help with our after-school program, and that happens on Tuesday afternoons. And then 2 of them help me in the garden on Saturday mornings. They harvest and go to market with me, and then they also do some gardening activities. On Saturdays we have programming for any kid in greater Columbus area can come out and do some activities with us, but during the school day it's just for Highland Elementary and the Education Academy of Boys and Girls.
Whenever Oakley Full Gospel Baptist Church started working with us and donated this property, they committed to helping us at no cost. They did not charge us for the land that is next to the land bank property. And I had to meet with the posse in order to get approval. All I knew about was the Short North posse. I did not really know that there was a posse here in the Hilltop. And so I was kind of, not certain what I would have to do in order to get the property and get approval. It ended up being 3 ladies in their 80s. And their only request was that we would have a bench in the garden where they could come and sit and watch the children in the garden.
I love working at Highland Youth Garden because I love growing food and working with the kids. It's amazing to see them get their hands dirty, have a lot of fun, and learning. Most of the time they don't even know that they're learning while they're doing it. Hopefully we have more kids involved. We capture their attention when they're younger, and then they can kind of grow with us, possibly get jobs here when they're teens, and then be involved with the garden when they're adults. So it's kind of a holistic program for the kids in their community.
About 4 years ago, our board was formed, and the board, in 2014, we started forming a board that would help determine the funding that we would receive and then projects that would be created. And the greenhouse was something that 2 years ago was installed on the land bank property. So that allows us to educate children inside of there at where the temperature is always warmer than outside during the winter. We are able to heat it a little bit so that the children can come over and still grow their food during the winter months. And Mid-Ohio Food Bank and also Congresswoman Joyce Beatty had a lot to do with allowing this funding to come to this garden in the Hilltop. Thanks to Strader's Garden Center, we were able to get donations of plants and other garden centers also. But Strader's helped us to get donations that not only helped this garden, but went out to help other gardens throughout our city and backyard gardeners. And they actually have been a great contributor from the very beginning to help us get the plants that we needed and share them with people throughout our city. So we are just glad that the Greater Columbus Growing Coalition has allowed for Strader's to continue giving us these plants, and because it helps teach so many people about the plants that we need to grow in order to be healthy. And having our health is very important. Education is very important. But most of all, working together, being outside, talking to one another, caring about each other in our communities. That's what the coalition is all about, and I hope that more gardens will join the coalition and receive some of these plants that Strader's has, and that we are able to give out to community gardens as well as backyard gardeners.